But very excited to have you all join for the 75th listening session, which is our community conversation, which is pretty crazy to me. This is my 5th year being the state legislator for House District 30. And it's pretty amazing that it's 75, but here we are. And today we're in an exciting location. We are at the Ron Tonkin Field, home of the Hops, our hometown team, and very, very socially distanced in this room, getting some good space, and have 2 incredible special guests. And I will first name some of our regular folks that are on the House District Team HT30 roster team, which is Nicole Vargas and Mark Watson. And then our other 2 special guests today to talk to us a little bit about what's happening in the hops world and when can we all hear the crack of the bat from our hops players. We have the chairman and CEO, Mike McMurray, as well as the president and general manager, Kale Wambacher.
Hello, everybody.
So this is very exciting to be able to have them join us today, and really super appreciative of them giving their time to have this community conversation hosted at the stadium. We had thoughts of being up there on an empty field to just get that field in the background, but there is a pretty big tournament going on. So the fields are in operational. There's lots of families out there. So, yep, there's Mark giving us a shot from way up high. So just wanted to kick off and see, like I said, I'm really excited, and I can ask a couple of questions, but I really, how this rolls is that this is a community conversation or a listening session to hear from you and to hear what you folks are concerned about and have questions about. But I really wanted to take the opportunity to really kind of talk about what we all can expect, because what is coming soon, May 4th, is opening day of hops. So we're all excited. And so I thought it would be great to have a little information provided by our special guests, and if they can just talk a little bit about what folks can expect on that May 4th day. And I'm not sure if Kale or Mike wants to take that.
I'll start out, and then Kale can correct me. So on May 4th, we will finally be able to see some professional baseball in our hometown again. It's been a long time. Yes, good point. It's been a long time, and I can't tell you how much we've missed. I'm speaking actually in terms of Laura and I, how much we've missed the Hillsboro Hops family, and just about everything about Hillsboro we've missed. This has been really, tough for us, because we're here for the baseball, and to have had a season wiped out was aging for me. Let's put it that way. And it's interesting. I consider myself quite the introvert, really. And so this social distancing thing was, fine up to a point. Now I really will like to see people again from a distance. And the good news this year is that we have an expanded season. Kale will explain a little bit more about that, but we'll be playing 60 home games this year as a result of changes that have occurred in minor league baseball. We're now a full season team as opposed to a short season team. But we didn't stop at that. We decided that Hillsboro needed even more baseball. So thanks to the border situation, the Vancouver Canadians will be playing 60 games here as well. So we'll be going from having 38 games played during the summer as we have in the past to having, 60 games? No, 120. Wow, that's a lot of baseball. So we'll make up for having missed last year by giving 120 opportunities to watch baseball this year. Granted, we'll have limited capacity as we slowly get back into some semblance of normalcy, but basically we'll end up being the capital of professional baseball in the Northwest. And with that, I'll let Kale explain more in the way of details.
Yeah, it's
an exciting time for sure. I'm excited to be on today. I heard there was going to be a couple of special guests, so hopefully they'll come on later, Representative Sollman. But May 4th opening day will have been 604 days since our last game here at the Tonk. 604 days. We've had that on Post-it notes throughout our office ever since we got all the new stuff with MLB situated in January and February. And then, of course, a few weeks ago, we got the green light to have fans again by the governor's office. So that was a really, really exciting moment for our office. And the last couple of weeks have been phenomenal. We have to do pod seating for the month of May, socially distanced pod seating, which some of you know this because you've gone through this process with us, and we appreciate all the support and understanding we've had from our fans over the last couple of weeks. This was the most difficult thing to figure out that we've ever had, and probably will ever have in our careers, of how to do socially distanced seating in a fair way, especially when we have season ticket holders, hundreds that have been with us since 2013. And they've kept their money with us from last year, and now we've got to tell them that they can't get their seats. It was a very difficult process, and a few people were pretty upset about it, but the vast majority, over 95% of our ticket team, told me we're understanding and just happy to get out to the ballpark. So this last year, really, I think the biggest impact for us has been, we knew we had a great fan base, we have a great community, but we had no idea the depth of support that we have from these people. And it's really been overwhelming for us when we go back to last year, we had over 95% of people roll their funds forward to 2021. And that alone saved our franchise. If we didn't have that happen, we would have went out of business having to issue refunds. So that was incredible. And then this process, the second point was in the fall when we realized we were going to go to full season, and we had over 74%, I believe, go from the short season format to the full season format. So seeing that level of support, people that wanted more baseball in their packages, was incredible. We were hoping to get to 40 to 50% of people to extend to that full season. And lastly, over the last week, just people's understanding of not being able to get their specific seat and know that the process we're going through is only temporary, hopefully only 1 month, but we'll see how things go. And our staff has done a tremendous job just trying to communicate and empathize with people and find the best solutions possible. So we've got through the hard part, and now comes the fun part. And the fun part is playing baseball again. So we're jacked. We've got a lot to do by May 4th, but we'll be ready. We'll have a safe environment. We'll have a lot of, hopefully start to spread a lot of consumer confidence that we can pull this off without causing any health situations. And our front office will all have had at least their first shot, some their second shot by opening day. Our players will all have their first shot by opening day. So we're excited about that as well.
I would like to just follow up on what Kale said about the understanding of our fans have had in terms of seating with the pods. I'm happy to say most of our fans have been much more understanding than Laura and I have, because we're still trying to figure out where Jason Gavigan is going to put us to sit. He has agreed that we will be able to sit in the facility somewhere, but that's about it. Where we'll sit, it's where he can fit us in. So.
Well, that's amazing. I know that we all are very excited. It would be exciting to talk to some of the fans to say, what have you all missed about Hops games? What is your favorite memories and favorite things about Hop games? I can tell you mine, but I'm going to wait for you. We're all so shy today. Oh, agriculture night. That is really cool. I mean, when you think about the theme nights, I've been here for Disney themes. I've been here for Star Wars themes. I think you've had. So, you know, I think that's another way for the community really to get excited about these games, is celebrating those fun nights. I think Barb is itching to say something, aren't you, Barb? You're like, not to put you on the spot.
I'm trying to think of something. Hang on. I would say Dale's rockfish fillet sandwiches, but that's
good. Now
the food, but you know,
that's great, because now everybody's going to want to try that. That's a good sales pitch.
I help with food marketing.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Baseball excites us.
Yeah.
Wherever we sit, we're so excited.
Yeah.
I speak for my better half here.
Walk-off home runs. Those were fun.
Oh, yeah. Championship trophies. Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
I think it is really, it's really exciting just to be in the stands. And I think for me, I just get excited about the community. I love all the spirit dances. I love to do the chicken dance. I love to do the seventh inning stretch. I love, you know, sitting in the stand. Yes, talking. Or is that the chicken dance? And I love just catching up with people, having a beverage, enjoying a sunny night, seeing the kids get excited with their mitts ready to catch something. I am super thankful for the netting, because I do tend to talk a little bit during a game. And when I always was worried about a foul ball coming, but now that net's there, I can talk away. So, you know, I think that's the really great thing about games in our stadium is the fans and the community and the excitement. So,
Janeen, I'll share one. Good evening, everybody. This is Gina. For my family personally, it was that sense of we had those scheduled nights, almost like date nights, right, for the family, where everyone hop in the car. We get there at a certain time because the kids like to get food first, and then they spent the whole baseball game eating away at that shaved ice for the rest of the evening. But I was just thinking, I loved having them here because friends from Portland, family coming in from out of town was like, wow, let's go to a game. And you just gather everybody, and everybody had a good time, no matter what. And of course, pre-pandemic, we did our first summer as a host family, and we totally missed that this year. We missed having a player with us. And so we still keep in contact with both of the boys. And so just that connection with the players was really fun. It's like I had extra sons in the house for sure.
Oh, that's exciting. And Gina is one of our city councilors in Hillsboro. So thank you, Gina, for sharing those memories too. I know that Aaron Carlson, I know that Carla have been host families, and I know they've talked a lot about that and how you have those lifelong relationships then.
You know, it's interesting what we've tried to do in the past is make it clear that Ron Tonkin Field is the community gathering place, trying to make it as welcoming as as possible to all. And I didn't realize just how important that was to me personally until we didn't have it. And I'm really looking forward to, well, I used to say we put on 38 block parties a year. For this year, it'll be 60 block parties. I'm not even counting the Canadians. I'm really just looking forward to the Hillsboro community being able to get together again, to have fun and focus on some of the better things going on in the world. That's it.
Can you guys maybe say a little bit of what game day might look like? How differently? So, been to quite a few games myself. I know we have not sitting in our seats, which completely fine with me. I'll sit wherever I can to be in the park. But like concessions, are we going to try to be just electronic transfers instead of changing cash back? Will there be on-field contests? Can kids go on the field? Like how what would we notice as people who've been to a bunch of Hop games that might look a little different this year?
I could probably take that one. I would say the biggest change is going to be seeing masks on everyone's face. We'll definitely have a mask policy for at least the month of May and continue to reevaluate. What's really interesting now with the changes of us being aligned with Major League Baseball versus being part of minor league baseball in the past is Major League Baseball pushes down all of their protocols for all their 30 teams and now all of the 120 teams that are part of this new system with Major League Baseball. So the level of protocols is pretty significant, which is a good thing. From a food and beverage standpoint, we kicked around the idea of going all cashless, and we decided not to. The facilities that have done that, they have reverse ATMs and they have the financial wherewithal to purchase a lot of those. And we just, after a lack of season, we just didn't have the ability to ramp up to that scale. We pursued going mobile only ordering to avoid lines. And that's been a disaster at the major league level. So we will have a combination of mobile ordering and in-person ordering, but we'll have obviously social distancing and lines. I think the key will be just really promoting our messaging of people being smart. I mean, the governor even said it on Friday, like, we know what to do now to keep ourselves smart. There's no one that knows, how to protect themselves, or they shouldn't at this point. So, just reminding people to be smart, reminding people to safe distance, reminding people to keep their masks covered. So we're all doing our part and helping each other out. When it comes to on-field activities, the field is a bubble for now, and that comes down from Major League Baseball. So we've had to block out some rows of seating to keep the players isolated. We will not have any activities on field. There's a priority tier of people that can be around the team that's very, very small. So there's only a few of our staff that can even be around the team. So the protocols, I mean, Arizona went through these last year and didn't have a single positive COVID case last season. So we're confident that these protocols will work, but it will look a lot different for at least a month.
Kale or Mike, did you mention about when tickets would be available to the general public? Did you mention that?
Not yet. We've just gone through our process last week with placing season tickets and a few mini plans, and I think we have a couple more days to wrap that up. And then hopefully mid to late next week is when single game will go on sale, and we're expecting to have maybe around 200 a game available while we're kept at 25% capacity.
Kale, it might be worth mentioning that we have a new concessionaire this year that we've transitioned away from Spectra.
Yeah, this is pretty exciting for us.
Yeah, this is pretty exciting for us. We hired a new contractor. His name is Tony Hendricks with Northwest Roots Hospitality. Tony is a 30-plus year industry veteran. He was the lead at the Moda Center in Rose Garden for many years, ran their entire food and beverage operation.
He was a regional VP with Spectra until
Huge baseball fan, lives here until COVID hit and he got let go.
We brought him on as a contractor.
We've brought him on as a contractor, but it's a way for us to have a real experienced, specialized person run our food and beverage, but maintain a lot of control. So control over menus, control over product offering, control over. So we're hopeful that it's going to be a little bit of a ramp up period. I think getting used to this new system and this new team, but we're confident going forward. Our food and beverage operation is going to be one of the best in baseball. Very, very exciting. To Barb's point earlier, it's a huge part of the experience. So we wanted to make some significant investments in our food and beverage operation.
I think I was pretty excited to be able to. I think you were going to have wood-fired pizza. And I think I put something out there. I was like, are you going to have gluten-free options? But I saw it is. So the whole experience, as even Gina had mentioned as well, just for families. It's quite an experience to be able to have a good park dog and a beverage and watch those beautiful sunsets. So, why, yes, I do have a Hops jersey on. I don't know if you can see it. Look at it. It's even number 30 for House District 30. Whoop, whoop. Yes, those are on sale I saw it through the Hops website. And you can, I think, even choose the number. And I was like, do you have 30? And they did. So I was like, score. So I think I purchased that last year. I wanted to also, speaking of last year, been an incredible, challenging time that we all have been experiencing. So I was just curious, either from Mike or from Kale, to tell us what the Hops were up to during that challenging time. I know that we heard there were some really great things that the Hops were involved in, but I'm not sure that everybody knows that. So I really wanted to check in with you about that.
We kind of broke up into two areas of responsibility while we were in hiatus. The responsibility of Laura and I was trying to figure out how do we pay our staff and to avoid laying off people. We were creative and we took advantage of everything that was available to us. But I'm happy to say we did not have to lay off any staff. I think we might have been the only minor league team to do that. They had to make sacrifices, as we all did, but the good news is we kept our team together, and now we're seeing the benefits of that. The team that we have available to us to start up the season it can't be beat. These people are loyal to us. They're loyal to Hillsboro. They're going to do a great job as we restart. Now, that's basically what Laura and I did. What Kale did is, how do we keep our face out in the community? How do we remind people that, hey, we're not playing baseball, but we're still there. We're still part of the community. We want to be part of what's going on. And I'll let Kale explain a little bit about what we did from community involvement.
Yeah, we were active.
We were active.
The first thing we
did was we kicked off. We wanted to find ways to give back to a lot of the frontline workers, so healthcare providers and first responders, and so we started doing a lunch bus and also funds to money go directly towards this program. But that was pretty fun, and that got our staff out there right away and kept us visible. We've stayed extremely active on social media, of course, not having events to go to. We turned our attention to our social. We had a TikTok video that went like 3 million views, which was incredible. Talk channel. And a lot of it was, and we also launched a first generation college student grant program or scholarship program. There was a $1,000 scholarship that we awarded, I believe, 10 kids. And that was a pretty exciting program.
5 kids at 2,000.
Oh, that's right. 5 kids at 2,000. That's right. And that was a new launch for us, just to try to do something a little bit different than what we've done in the past. In the past, we've been very focused on youth baseball, youth softball efforts, and building community through kids playing sports, and a lot of the soft skills that come with playing sports, being a good teammate, self-confidence, hard work, responsibility, a lot of those kinds of things, skill development. But obviously with kids sports shut down, we had to pivot a little bit of what we would normally do. Last year, we donated close to $100,000 to the community through our Hillsboro Hops fund. And all those seasons were lost in 2020, but we had them keep all the money. So everyone was extremely thankful. They were all expecting to have to give that money back in April and May. And so that was a really nice thing that we were able to do. And then I think we put another 40 to 50,000 into that community within the last couple of months. So another big boost, almost $150,000 over the course of 2 seasons to really lift up our youth baseball, softball community and try to provide field development, field enhancements. We provided a lot of grants for safety equipment, gaiters, and masks, so the kids can be safe while they're playing. And so that's been pretty exciting. But I think overall, it's just our staff, they rallied. We did a couple of day camps in the summer. Last August, our staff turned into camp counselors for 2 weeks, and we just wanted to get kids out of their house. We charged a nominal amount for the week for kids to come out and do activities on the field. Everyone wore masks. We kept people distant out. And our staff was tremendous. Tried a little bit of revenue, but really it was just a way to get kids out. And I have a 10-year-old daughter, and I saw what that kind of isolation was doing to her, and that was really cool. And just seeing our staff step up in that. They didn't sign up to be camp counselors when they came to work for us. So the attitudes they had and the work that they put into planning and executing was really cool to see. But a lot of it has just been, trying to stay top of mind, find ways that we can help out here and there, and just keep our staff as active as possible, and try to keep our attitudes as positive that we can. It was a tough year for our staff, like a lot of people had, but as I said before, we got through it and we got through the hard part, and now it's time to take all the lessons we've learned over the last year and really apply some positive things to putting on a great season.
It's excellent. I know that we're incredibly spaced out in this room here, but I did want to go off video because I wanted to make sure that I didn't know Kale was getting cutting out a little bit. So I wanted to make sure that y'all heard what he had to say. And one of the questions that was asked was who is handling the ticket sales or the marketing of the Canadian team? That was a question that was asked.
Yeah, good question. Their team president is here. They have an executive VP that's here, and I think she's an assistant GM. So they've got a staff of 3 or 4, and they're running everything themselves for the most part. So they're handling all their own tickets.
I believe that if you go to the Vancouver Canadians website, you can get information how to deal with them directly. At least it worked for me. So.
And I put a link to their schedule at the very top of the chat. If you weren't here earlier, I can put that in there again.
Yep. Or just scroll on up, I think is. Yeah. Does anyone else have any hops questions? I mean, we certainly can ask legislative questions too, but just wanted to check in with fans to see if there was something specific that they wanted to know, or
I'd have one. Whether it's the governor's office or Washington County Health or whomever's helping you guys manage things, have you gotten a sense of what would need to change in the community in order for you to be able to change the ticket policy? So we may be doing this for the whole time, and I think that's great, as long as it's great to be able to just continue a whole season and get a whole season in under this. So have you gotten a sense of what needs to change for it to be more restrictive, or what needs to be changed for it to be less restrictive?
Yes, actually had this conversation on Friday with the county, and it will come from the state. The state has issued guidance for outdoor entertainment venues. From a percentage capacity standpoint, it was going off of case counts, and so I've heard that might be changing. We actually had met a ratio from a case count standpoint to go back to 15%. And the governor decided to not do that, which we were rejoicing in our office. So we get to stay at 25%. And it sounds like they're switching the metrics more towards hospitalizations and the death count. So we're hopeful that, and then as the vaccination rate continues to improve, we're hopeful that will start to allow for increased capacity. From a social distance standpoint, I've asked this question numerous times of when this will be lifted, or when we could group vaccinated people together. And the state I don't think has even started considering that, unfortunately for us, but I know the state has a lot to do. There are a lot of other states now that have lifted the social distance requirement if there's a mask mandate and if it's outside. And so, and what I think will be helpful is that will give us a lot of data of, is this the right approach or not? And so, seeing what happened in Texas with a full ballpark opening day, seeing a lot of states now increase the capacity so teams can group people together. Some teams are doing vaccinated sections and non-vaccinated pod seating. So there could be, we're hopeful for at least a hybrid where we could do vaccinated sections, or sections where people are comfortable in a group setting with a mask on outdoors. And then down the lines, we have a pod seated format for people that aren't quite ready for that type of an experience. So, I think it's going to be week by week, month by month for the most part, but everything that MLB is hearing is by July, they feel very confident that we could see full ballparks based on the vaccination rates, which is extremely exciting to us. And hopefully, the data will show that that's the right approach and the safe way to do things.
Excellent. The other thing that actually made me think about is the fans that, maybe aren't quite comfortable yet coming into the stands, but they miss their hops, right? So how can they tune in and watch those games?
Yeah, great question. We do have some fans that have self-selected to not come to May games for that reason, and we're very sympathetic and empathetic to their reasonings. Mlb Tv, we will be streaming all of our games again on Mlb.tv, which is exciting. We debated to do that because it's a major expense for us, and after having a year with no revenue, things are challenging. But credit to our ownership, they said, Kale, we're first class, and we're going to remain first class whether we have the money or not. So we'll continue that stream, which is outstanding. We will also have at least 5 TV games on Root Sports. We're still finalizing that schedule because it coincides with the Mariners' schedule, so we've got to work around their games. And then we just, hopefully Monday, we will have extended our partnership with Rip City Radio, and so we'll be on the radio for the 120 games. And to my knowledge, all on Rip City Radio, 6:20 a.m., unless there's a conflict with the Blazers.
I just wanted to clarify that the decision to make the investment on streaming, that came from Laura. That was not my idea. But Kale knows how to work the system.
Yeah, no one's surprised by that if you know Mike and Laura.
I also I want to mention that the mayor wanted to just really share. He's one of the biggest fans of the Hops, and he wanted to just say that that he really misses that front office staff as well, the hospitality, and and all the fans. It's such an incredible experience, and both him and Joan have been hosts, and really love that experience, especially for us, empty nesters. That's an amazing way to get some young guys back in the house that you might need to give a meal to, or let them borrow the car keys. But I know that a lot of folks have really enjoyed that experience, and but the mayor wanted me to share that with you all as well. So do we have any other final thoughts on Hops? And then if certainly can talk legislative things as well, but that seems like a yay to a ooh. So just want to check in with folks. Do they have any other questions? Well, oh yeah, Brian, go forth and prosper.
Thank you so much for all the information about the Hops, because I'm a huge baseball fan. So this is, I've attended a number of legislative town halls, and this has been one of the most fun I've attended. I am not a constituent, so I appreciate you letting me listen in here today. I'm very concerned about climate change, and and I just want to thank you for all you've done on past bills here. And I'm working really hard on a resolution that's in the House. It passed the Senate. It's called SJM5. And it basically, this resolution, since we're having a hard time getting something passed on the state level for climate action, this is a resolution that encourages Congress to act in a bipartisan manner to enact climate legislation. So I would just urging you to support that. And if you had any questions about, or anything about the climate legislation or anything along those lines, that'd be great.
Thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate you bringing that up. I know that isn't it amazing that, we have to have joint resolutions to say, come on, let's have bipartisan action. It's kind of, frustrating. Even some of the things that we have to bring forward on the state level within our own state legislative business. It's like, goodness, you wish that you didn't have to have a law for that people would just think about that and do it. So I'm happy to support that. I'm happy to provide some encouragement from our leadership, at the state level to our federal partners, congressional partners, to say, please, this is incredibly important. We don't have a planet B, and it's increasingly concerning. I know that this session I've been involved in a lot around our plastic waste reduction that we need to do. I was really encouraged and motivated to bring forward a bill that would provide more producer responsibility in the recycling market, because when you actually bring them to the table to have more buy-in, they have to pay more into the system, then they have an incentive to actually reduce their packaging then, because they'll pay less into the system. And so again, gosh, why do you have to have something like that to make an incentive? But that's the way the world goes, I guess. And so it's unfortunate that producer responsibility bill didn't go forward, but we do have a bill, Senate Bill 582, that is coming on from the Senate side, that will really look to modernize our DEQ system. It's been a process for 3 years, really making sure that we have not only the infrastructure in place, but the information, the real information to people to know what they can recycle, and providing more information in that aspect. I am disappointed that we didn't get more plastic waste reduction built into that, because if y'all remember, it's reduce, reuse, then recycle. So we need to make sure that we're offering those opportunities for folks to, further for reduction, and reduce our consumption, because we are getting buried in plastic, and we may not see it so much in our waterways because we have an incredible system set up for, cleaning the area and such. But if you really go down and you see in Vietnam and in China and everywhere where we've been shipping all of that, it's destructive, and just horrible. And it creates very unhealthy impacts to not only the people directly there with plastic leaching and such, but also the microplastics. When those plastics enter into our water and break into small particles, fish actually and birds will mistake it for food, and they ingest it. And guess what we ingest? Well, we don't ingest the birds, but we ingest the fish. And that will end up in us. So we need to make sure that we're really truly addressing that full cycle and that full circle of the reduce and reuse and then recycle. So appreciate your excitement about that as well. Look at yes, that is a fun blast from the past. So I have a coworker at my other job. I have another job as well, that for Earth Day, she made magnets for everybody at work, and gave me a big stack. So let me know if you'd like one. But it goes on your refrigerator, and it says, she put a picture on there. Yeah, what would Janeen do? So fun. So I also brought a little gift for Mike and for Kale. So you can, I didn't wrap it elaborately, but I told them they couldn't look at it. And I just have to tell you, Mike must have been the worst kid at Christmas because he was looking, he wasn't touching it, but he was trying to see what it was that he was going to get. But please, yes, absolutely. So it's their very own Hops prayer candle. Comes with cute little matches in there too. Not that the hops need too many prayers, because they've got skills. There it is. This is a company called Flixwix with an X, 2 X's there. This is a female-owned business, woman-owned business out of Happy Valley area. And she actually made that upon, there's a friend of mine who actually talked to her, and Nanette, and she called them and she's like, we have fans out here in Hillsboro, and they reach far beyond Hillsboro for our Hillsboro Hops. Would you consider making one of those candles for our Hillsboro Hops? And so she did. So anyway, I just wanted to give that.
This is awesome. The only drawback is that barley being on a prayer candle, that's just going to go to his head. This is great. Thank you very much.
I am not certain that barley's head can get any bigger, but but that's the love of our barley. That's another thing that I really honestly miss is my barley selfies and all the other great events and fundraising events as well. I've been here volunteering myself I've been a volunteer with Meals on Wheels for 9, maybe going on 10 years. And it is 10 years at the end of this year. And you have your theme nights where you do some fundraising for them. So again, it's another wonderful perk of our Hillsboro team. Does anyone else? I know we had a couple of questions that came up prior. I will mention one of them is the right to repair bill. That was a bill that I was working on to basically say that if you own it, if you buy your cell phone, you should be able to repair it. And unfortunately, there's a lot of, Apple, Samsung, Google, they try to collectively hold those schematics and those tools very close to them, and which prevent you from getting that information, or our really small Main Street local businesses getting information that they need so that they can repair your phone or your laptop. So I was really proud to bring that that bill forward. And unfortunately, I feel like we've been working on it for over a year, really great advocates. I think it was someone asked in the question that was proposed earlier before our conversation today was, why did it die? And I have to say that I think it died in committee because we had a combination of an unperfect storm. We've had a very challenging year with COVID and wildfires in our state. We also had some interesting delays in our legislative process at the very beginning on the House side, where every single bill was being read. One bill, I was telling Kale earlier, one bill was 170 pages and it took 4 days to read, and that we couldn't do anything during that time. So I think that the reason the right to repair piece of legislation died in committee was just because a combination of all of that. I am committed to bringing that back again. We had probably the greatest momentum that we have ever seen, because that has come forward before. So we actually were able to really take it farther than it's ever been. And we really focused on consumer protection, because the phones and the cell phones and the laptops were something that were really directly impacting our consumers. During the pandemic, 75,000 K-12 students were without computers. And so they were trying to scramble to get that so that kids can do comprehensive distance learning. So I'm committed to bringing that back, because it's a boost for our small businesses and it's a consumer protection. But I wanted to mention that because that was a question that came in earlier. And then I'm not sure if anyone else has any questions. To apologize, I could try to find the document that has those questions, or if Mark or Nicole can send those to me, that would be great. Okay, I do see a question that came up in the chat. Thank you, Jeff, for reaching out. I know that you and I follow each other on Twitter and you messaged me through Facebook, and I was like, I want to talk with you. And then I sent you this. So thank you so much for joining. If you want to ask, or do you want me just to address that from the chat?
Yeah, and thanks for sending me the link. I greatly appreciate it. I'm almost one of your neighbors here. I don't live too far away from you. So anyway, yeah, I was a little bit, I don't know enough about the quorum rules and the general rules of the legislature in the state of Oregon. So there could be a reasoning behind it. But given that this is a state where we're about Dems plus 15 or 20. It seemed a little bit odd that you would have a deal, which is a 50-50 redistricting power sharing agreement in a state that has that as the partisan balance. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that, because that seems kind of like a unilateral disarmament to me personally. So I'd like to hear more about that.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff, for bringing that up. And I know that a lot of folks have really been concerned, because one of the offers that was made to delay and to waive the read. So just to tell you, there's been a lot of confusion about the reading of the bills. People have said, well, you should be reading the bills. You're voting on them and you're acting on them. And what I have said when I talked to a Channel 8 reporter, that I said, if a legislator doesn't know how they're voting before they hit the floor, that's a problem, because you have staff members that help you in the research, in reading, in watching committees for interactions. You have the ability as a legislator to do all of that as well. You have the ability to talk with committee members that are part of the committee where that bill potentially was heard. You can go to the person who wrote the bill in the first place and talk to them about it. There's so many steps in that area. So it's kind of just been a courtesy that when they get to the floor, what has been done is they waive the read. So they'll just read it by title only. Well, essentially, given our quorum requirements, and given that we do have a majority in both chambers, this is a tool that was used as a delay tactic from the House Republicans, because we have it written in our rules that if they do walk away from their job, if they walk out of the Capitol and in a dispute, they actually will get fined. Now, the Senate does not have that rule placed. They didn't have that, and they've already walked out one time already this session, came back. But so essentially, this tool was for the House Republicans to delay the process in how many bills were being heard and being said. There's majority of our bills are actually bipartisan. They are come out of committee unanimous. That's a fun fact that a lot of people don't realize. And so the deal that was made that was said that we will now give you equal number of people on the redistricting committee. So we have equal number Democrats, equal number Republicans on this committee to just determine our redistricting lines, because from the census information and because of our growing population, it's time to do so. Some people were extremely nervous about that. And they were concerned that you were giving away something, so powerful and such a tool. There are others that will say that we'll see how that works out in the conversation, right? Also, that the next step, that if legislators cannot come to agreement, if they cannot determine where those lines are and how the districts will be, how they'll be drawn, that decision will go to the Secretary of State. And so it will go to Shamia Fagan, and she will make those determining, and her office will make those determining district lines. And so, and she is a Democrat. And so, there is that, she would have that lens and that ability to look at that through her decision making.
Yeah. My question, the legislative districts actually make plenty of sense to me, because I saw
congressional
about that. Congressional, I mean, it's not, and I'm trying to formulate my question here in a way that makes some sense. So obviously you don't want to just do a naked power play. I'm not a big fan of that. Preferably this entire country uses independent redistricting commissions that are appointed and whatnot. I mean, that to me would make the most sense, but unfortunately that's not our, federal reality at this point. So absent that, you'd almost have to kind of look and say, all right, who have the voters sent to Salem? And it's not, and there's super majorities of Democrats in Salem right now in both houses, and there's a Democratic governor and Secretary of State. So I think that the partisan lean of the state would say that the state wants that party in control, for better or worse, right? So, you look at U.S. House districts. I know that Oregon is standing to get a 6th congressional district, most likely once the census figures come out. I mean, there's no necessarily, you don't know exactly how it's going to, play out and where all the population is going to land and things like that. So you don't know what the districts would look like, but it would, again, seem if you have supermajorities in 2 houses and you've got a lock on the state, statewide offices, that you would look at that and go, okay, this is probably a Democratic state. Why would we give the very minority party equal say in that power? And that doesn't, I would get like a 3-2 mix, a 4-3 mix even would make some sense, but a 3-3 mix tells me that you can just kind of like walk out of the chamber and kick it to the court. And that doesn't really seem the way that you would do it.
Yeah. It's exactly the concern. The concern is that it's the congressional seat that's the worry, that we seem to have the ability to really have a little bit more of a lens on that, on our own legislative seats. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, Jeff. I actually supported an independent redistricting committee. I actually support that concept. I'll tell you where I got a little bit concerned is that how much Kevin Mannix really liked that idea too. And I'll just be on that. That made me a little worried because we don't exactly see eye to eye on a lot of other issues that he brings forward.
Right.
But the League of Women Voters, they were all in favor of an independent districting committee, and I actually found that to be very reasonable process. But we have what we have, and you are absolutely correct that the biggest concern where people are most discouraged with that deal being made is the fact of the congressional seat, the concern there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was my main concern. I think that's where I was going with that. And it'll be interesting to see how it goes. It seems that maybe there's an opportunity to change the quorum rules too.
That's what I was just going to say. So let me tell you it is really absolutely key, because you have to, in order to waive the bill, you have to have 40 votes on the House floor, which means we have to bring a few Republicans along with us. And that wasn't happening. And so they were shutting that down. That was a tool that they were using to delay that. And it is frustrating, because I'll just be honest with you. I was saying, I sat there when we heard what was happening, and I sat there completely feeling numb, right? That this was happening. And I also felt, as a parent, you don't reward bad behavior. That's the part for me.
That's more it than I think anything else is. There's definitely if you have a petulant teenager in your house and they're screaming for the car, you don't say, okay, if you just be quiet, I'll give you the keys. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Or, if you just be quiet, we can play rock, paper, scissors and see who gets the car next. No, but this isn't really a discussion.
Yeah. And I guess I'll just push back to you too, and be able to say that we have a system set up that if you want to use your car to get groceries, to get to work, to get your kids to school, and so on and so forth, you got to figure out how that's happening. And so that's where we were kind of at a standstill, is that how long it was taking us to read these bills. We processed 2 bills in 2 hours at one point, and these were bills that were relatively short, because they were not only utilizing the opportunity to read bills, but then they were also, several of them, speaking on every single bill. So it was just further delaying the action. So it's frustrating. Yeah. But thank you. Is there anyone else? I know we're reaching that 1 minute time too. And anyone else have any quick questions?
There were a few submitted that were in the, sorry, I didn't see if hands raised up. If there's a hand raised up, go for it. There were some submitted ones earlier that sort of evolve around COVID in general, so that I would say that there's 3 that have the common thread. So one asked, just, is Washington County having a significant increase in COVID cases? Another asked, what can we do to make the vaccine registration easier? And then another asked, are we worried about dropping the number of doses coming into the state dropping, and do we have info on that? So sort of a trifecta of COVID.
I think right now the only thing that we have, and I'll talk quickly because I want to really be really respectful of your time too. And I'm happy if you all are okay. I'm happy to email you out the answers too. I can just really say it quick. Yes, the cases are going up. It is concerning, right? We want to make sure that people are safely distancing, and we have more kids going back to schools, and the nice weather. It's, again, this combination of things. So I think there's going to be an announcement made next week from the governor to look at the case numbers in Washington County and talk about that. The vaccinations absolutely is a concern as far as the access. I think the greatest access concern was for our seniors who weren't exactly, maybe couldn't be real computer savvy like my mom. I had to make that appointment for her. And that was really a frustrating process. I think increasing our 211, where people could call in and actually speak to somebody to get help on figuring out where to get a vaccination, that was that was key. That was important. And then we saw more sites that were coming available, whether it was Nike in partnership with the Medical Reserve, Washington County Medical Reserve, which are retired nurses and doctors and such, and the firefighters putting together things, whether, the system at the convention center, at the airport was all great. So the biggest slowdown for a while there was truly how many vaccines that we were getting from the federal government, but the increase has been greatly increased. And so we are seeing that flow coming in quite regularly. There has been a slight stop to the Johnson & Johnson shot right now, given that they were wanting to be careful and looking at some of those cases that they were seeing. But the Pfizer and Moderna are still coming in great. So, yeah, I know that has been a really extremely frustrating process for folks. And I think that, isn't it this week, the 16-year-olds, right? I think it's this week, that the 19th, which is, tomorrow, my mom's 88th birthday. So, which with that, I will, because I'm having a tea party with her this afternoon in my backyard. So I don't think she's watching, so she doesn't know that now, because she can't figure out Zoom right now. So I just want to say thank you all for joining on this beautiful sunny day. And thank you so much for giving your time to be here. And thank you so much to Kale and to Mike, for being here and giving us the hops, all the hops, news and excitement, because the May 4th is coming. And I think that's going to be incredibly exciting to hear that crack of the bat, and whether you're going to be able to be in the stands to hear that, be on screen to watch that, or listen to it on the radio, or sometimes like me. I should ask, are there going to be fireworks in any?
Not yet.
Okay. That's coming soon. Plans. But I used to ride my little scooter up if I didn't have a seat, and I'd watch those fireworks out there outside. So, but we're getting back there, folks. I know this has been a long haul, but thank you all for doing your part, continuing to stay safe, taking care of each other. Remember, it's really important to take care of yourself and those around you. And you have a great day. And thank you again for joining the 75th Community Conversation. Take care.
Thank you so much.